So Manchester United are not going to rush to decide who the next caretaker manager will be. United have launched a bid for Diomande, but where's that story coming from? And Joshua Zirkzee is still wanting to leave, plus all the latest news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Welcome to Man United Review. Let's jump straight into it. So first of all, give us your thoughts and feelings on the match last night. Just, I think I share the view of everyone else, which just really, really frustrating, isn't it? Like, how many times this season have we, dominated a game, created chances, and we just cannot keep clean sheets, can we? We just cannot stop goals going in against us. And it's getting frustrating now because, we conceded 2 last night from 1 shot on target because of obviously Aiden Heavens' deflected effort. And it's just the story of our season, isn't it? Really created all the chances, dominated the ball, looked good in parts, I felt as well. But it's just really, really annoying, isn't it? We got the 2 goals, 1 disallowed. That was a shocking decision, by the way. Like the PGMOL there's another clanger for them to, maybe explain to the club why they decided that goal should have been disallowed for absolutely nothing, in my opinion. 2 goal line clearances, good save by Dubravka for Sesko. We'll talk about him more in a second as well. Hit the woodwork twice, like Shea Lacey's effort. Like, oh man. I think everybody wanted that to go in so badly, but as I mentioned, we just cannot stop conceding goals, and I think a large part of that is individual errors, a mentality problem at the club, because this has been going back since Eric Ten Hag as well. So this isn't like a new thing that's just crept into the club. This has been going on for years now, because how many games did we have at the end of Ten Hag's tenure where, I remember the Porto one, for example, we were 2-0 up and then we conceded 2 goals in the first half, ended up, drawing the game 3-3 in the end. So that was a couple of years ago now. So this is a proper issue for United where we just cannot control games and see out victories from winning positions. It is incredibly worrying and incredibly frustrating as well. Obviously, it doesn't help when you've got people like Casemiro ball watching for the first one. Yes, it was an unlucky deflection, but the fact he's just stood there and let somebody run off of the back of him and not doing anything. And then, of course, we concede another worldie where someone puts it into the top bins. Like, it's just so frustrating. As I mentioned, conceding 2 goals from 1 shot on target, that just sums up Man United right now. It's just unbelievable. And it's unbelievable how many games this season this keeps on happening. It's a big concern. And again, I feel just more points dropped to a relegation team from the current bottom 7 in the league. We've drawn against all of them. Wolves and Burnley we've beaten once, but they're the only teams that we've played twice. We haven't played the others twice, but we've drew against literally the entire bottom 7 in the league, and that's not, down to manager tactics. Do you know what I mean? That's player mentality, because in the majority of those games, if not all of those games, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've held a lead at some point in time in those games as well. West Ham, we were ahead. I think Leeds is the one actually that maybe we weren't ahead in. Tottenham, we were ahead. Bournemouth ahead. Burnley winning. Wolves we were behind actually as well. So, but majority of those, it's just incredibly annoying and frustrating. Coming from the club's perspective, Steve Railston in the Manchester Evening News has said that Manchester United insiders have questioned the mentality of the players who have often failed to demonstrate the know-how to see out a victory after taking the lead this term. United insiders believe they should have won against Burnley, which Darren Fletcher admitted when he spoke about dropping points during the post-match press conference. So Steve Railston from the Manchester Evening News, I mean, it's stating the obvious, isn't it? I think most of you will say in the comments that it's a common denominator, isn't it? We just cannot control a game of football when we're ahead. It's just incredibly worrying. And I think the main issue is it stems from the midfield, doesn't it? Regardless of what you think about Amrim and the formation and tactics and everything like that. I've been consistent with this on here as well, saying that regardless of who the manager is, we need better players, i.e., and we need midfielders. And I can't believe that Barada or Wilcox would be sat there watching that last night. and still gonna neglect the January transfer window to go out and try to make some signings and make some improvements. Like, it's just baffling for me, especially after watching Casemiro's performance last night as well. My nephew was texting me, he was like, get him off the pitch. And that was in the first half as well. And not even after, not even reactionary to him ball watching for the goal. It was just we were having a conversation around his touches. He's always taking the ball backwards. He's just not quick enough, is he? He's got no athleticism, no pace. And I think he got ran past 4 times, or dribble past 4 times last night, which was the most from any player on the pitch. And it's not good, and it doesn't help. But then he doesn't help control the game from that sense either, because you can get away with maybe a lack of pace. Like Michael Carrick wasn't exactly blessed with pace, but he could conduct and control a midfield and was, intelligent enough to be in the right places at the right time. And I don't think Casemiro offers us that neither. It's just a massive issue, the midfield. But overall, first game from Darren Fletcher, I thought we managed a comfortable win with everything. Like, we had 30 odd shots. He made proactive subs, specifically Shea Lacey. Like, why Amram's had him on the bench all these weeks and just as an unused substitute. And this was one of my bugbears with Amram, specifically the Everton game when we were 1-0 down against 10 men. And his final substitution was Martinez for sure, which I think upset a majority of the fans. When you had Shea Lacey on the bench, and I'm not saying he would have done anything, and we don't know whether he would have made a difference or scored a goal, right? But even if he came on and did that, the Old Trafford crowd would have absolutely gone off it, and it might have just given us some impetus to go and get something from that game. And to have the lack, and so for Darren Fletcher to be proactive in his substitutes, I thought was a positive as well. I really wanted that to go in. Why did it have to hit the bar? That was a really good strike from him. I thought he made some in-game switches as well that helped us get ahead, because I don't think Cunha was in the game at all first half playing on the right, but I switched it in the second half where Cunha was more central. Bruno went on the right, and it worked because Bruno got the assist for Sesko, and I thought Sesko actually had one of his better performances as well, obviously because of the goals, but his movement for the goals was really, really good, because one of my criticisms about Rasmus Højlund not getting goals was because his movement's not good enough in and around the box. Whereas Sesko, I thought for both goals did really well. Was unlucky with the header that Dubravka made a really good save on. 7 shots on target, I think, last night from Benjamin Sesko, which is one of the highest by a striker in the league this season. So that was showing that he's in the right place at the right time, but also now the players were finding him as well. And I thought he took his 2 goals really well as well, considering he'd missed a couple early on and you were worried about his confidence, but clearly got that first one, broke the duck, and that second one was an absolutely lovely finish. And I thought Sesko had one of his best performances, even outside of that, like his hold-up play and link-up play, I thought was really good at times. He gave it away a few times as well, but I remember the back heel in the first half to Dorgu, and Dorgu had the heavy touch, but Dorgu, that could have put Dorgu through, and he's doing those things quite well, I think, Sesko, so fair play to him for his performance. I thought he had a really good game yesterday as well. And it was interesting that Darren Fletcher did say that he was, had a conversation with Sesko. I think he was showing him highlights of what he's been doing well recently and all sorts as well. So I do think that was, a positive for me from Darren Fletcher. It's just frustrating, wasn't it? Just very frustrating overall. So, but let me know what you think around the performance in the game and the match in the comments below. Darren Fletcher summed it up himself actually quite well. He said, to draw the match is a huge disappointment for me. If you look at the game, the chances, the clearances off the line, a goal disallowed, 30 shots, a lot of attacking play. We created enough chances to win the match, so it's disappointing to come away with just 1 point. And that's the biggest takeaway for me. I think, not that it wasn't clear anyway, but our inability to see out games is a massive worry. And the club, according to, as I mentioned earlier from Steve Ralston, say that it's a mentality issue, and that's something that we need to fix. I don't know how you fix that though, because this has been going on for years now. It's not a new issue that's just crept in, because as I mentioned that we were doing it under Erik ten Hag, so it is a mentality problem that's where we just have an inability to see out games. It might be a personnel problem though as well, because if you have, a more efficient midfielder, maybe someone in there that's a calming influence that can get hold of the ball and dictate the tempo of a game, which I don't think Casemiro can do, then maybe that would help as well. So overall, the midfield, even though Amrin's gone and we changed the formation, the midfield is still a problem, funnily enough, and also the mentality is still a problem as well. And it's incredibly frustrating because we've had the easier run of games and fixtures, and we've ended up drawing a majority of them, which is really alarming, especially with some of the bigger fixtures coming up, and obviously all the upheaval that we're going to have with the caretaker manager and somebody else coming in. It's just, it's incredibly frustrating and a bit worrying at the moment. But there are positives. The chances we created, I thought were really good, and that was without some of our better players as well. And Bumo, Ahmad still to come back from AFCON, but Sesko I thought had a really good game. I actually thought that Ugarte had a decent game as well in midfield. That was not necessarily surprising. I think he's done well last couple of games with a regular run. And when you're not playing him as a 6, if you're playing him as more of a box-to-box 8 and being a pest and a nuisance, and he's actually quite effective at doing that. He's just not somebody to take the ball off the back 4 and dictate the tempo of a game. He's not a number 6 for me. Ugarte, I think he is more of a box-to-box type 8. And I actually thought he had a decent game as well. But yeah, get involved in the comments. Let me know your thoughts regarding the match. So where are we at in terms of the caretaker manager position? I think it's obvious by now we're not going to be looking at a permanent manager at this particular point in time. The club are determined to wait until the summer, where more managers will become available. You've got, obviously all the international managers, plus managers like Marco Silva, Glasner, Iriola, out of contract as well. So it's looking like they're going to wait until the summer to go for the permanent manager position. The names at the moment, it feels like at the moment anyway, between Solskjaer, Carrick, and maybe even Darren Fletcher now is a contender to potentially keep the job on as the caretaker until the end of the season. So let's go through all the latest there. So firstly, Fabrizio Romano said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is becoming stronger and stronger in the internal ideas of Manchester United. Today, there's a face-to-face meeting between Ole and Manchester United's management to discuss this opportunity. Michael Carrick is also having conversations with Manchester United. The feeling is quite good around Solskjaer. He's ready to take the job, return to United and accept any condition. There's a good chance to see Ole back at United. So that was last night, obviously in between the games, I think it was, from Fabrizio Romano, suggesting that the rumours and reports coming from yesterday regarding Ole and Carrick having face-to-face meetings, he's kind of doubled down on that, but also saying that there's a good chance to see Ole back at United. Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook are saying something similar as well, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inching closer to a sensational return to Manchester United. So Solskjaer is in advanced talks to become United's interim head coach for the rest of the season. Although United insiders insist there are multiple candidates, Solskjaer is the favourite. Michael Carrick is open to being Solskjaer's assistant if the Norwegian beats him to the interim job. So that's interesting coming from Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook, that if Carrick does not get the number 1 role, then potentially he would be okay to be Ole's number 2, like we had before. Jamie Jackson, however, though, is thrown a spanner in the works, saying that Michael Carrick is edging closer to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the bid to become Manchester United interim manager. Though Ole is still the slight favourite, Omar Barada and the chief executive and Jason Wilcox, the director of football, will not make any appointment until interviewing both men face to face. So according to Jamie Jackson, he suggested that maybe Michael Carrick is getting closer to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Sky, though, are saying it's now unlikely that Michael Carrick and Solskjaer will be brought in together, with the club viewing both of them as number 1s. And United are set to take their time to decide after being impressed by Darren Fletcher. The club will be patient. No urgent talks today. So Sky were incorrect yesterday. It's come from Rob Dorset in Sky, who was saying yesterday that there's no face-to-face talks, which Romano has said that there were face-to-face talks. So we'll maybe need to take that one with a pinch of salt, but unlikely that it would be Solskjaer and Carrick, as they're both seen as number 1s, but also they're going to take their time over a decision after being impressed with Darren Fletcher. Darren Fletcher's been officially, he's going to be in charge for the Brighton game in the FA Cup at the weekend. So, and no urgent talks today. Like the lack of the lack of urgency from the club on anything, on any, like, why is it with the slowest club at making any kind of decision? It's infuriating to me. Every signing is we're slow with any decision. I just think there's just too many cooks spoiling the broth at the moment. That's how it feels with United, with Ineos coming in, but they still have to get the approval from the Glazers to do everything. Like, it just seems like a really slow, drawn out process at the moment. And I get you need to make the decision, you get the decision right, but it's not like, if it's between Carrick and Solskjaer, surely you need to have the interview and make your decision from there. So according to Sky, the latest is it might not be Solskjaer and Carrick. It might be one or the other, or Darren Fletcher potentially as the caretaker role. And I don't think I don't think he's done himself any harm neither. I thought they set the team up quite well. We were a little bit sloppy to start with, and that's expected, though. He's had one training session with He's not going to come in after one day and reinvent the wheel. We've got players coming back from injuries as well that are rusty. We're changing the shape and all of that stuff. Nothing was really going to massively improve. The one thing I was actually a little bit disappointed in going back to the game was I felt we were going to start a little bit faster. I thought there would be a little bit more enthusiasm at the start of the game, but at the start of the game, I felt we were a little bit rusty and sloppy, but that might be explained by obviously everything that's happened this week with Ruben Amorim going, which maybe would have come as a surprise with the speed that all of that went south, because it was, believed to be the meeting Friday that was the catalyst to that decision. So had a meeting Friday, played a game Sunday, gone Monday. That's a quick turnaround for, things to end for Ruben Amorim, isn't it? But yeah. So the latest, give us your thoughts and feelings. So where are you at actually with the caretaker role? Are you Ollie? Are you Carrick? I mentioned in yesterday's video, I think as long as we've got, we need someone that can steady the ship, be someone that can come in and be familiar to the players as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really. I think you're splitting hairs between Carrick and Ollie. I'm happy, and actually Fletcher. I don't think Fletcher's done himself any harm neither. So yeah, I'm not really. I'm not overly fussed either way. Like, I don't see it being the drama that it needs to be. The reality is they're only here until the summer, and then hopefully the club can pull their fingers out their backside, decide what they want to do, in which direction we want to go, and recruit the next manager as the one. The one thing we do know in terms of permanent manager, though, the narrative going around is that we definitely are going to go for somebody with Premier League experience. Fabrizio Romano, though, said that when Manchester United held talks with Roberto De Zerbi and Thomas Tuchel in 2024, both managers chose not to move forward because they felt it wasn't the right moment, not because they rejected United as a club. Now, however, the situation is different, with United in a stronger position in terms of their squad and the overall project. So Romano sort of suggesting that, because De Zerbi's name's been linked, I think Tuchel's name will be linked, and obviously he was the one that we offered the job to effectively with Ten Hag, but he declined to come to us, and maybe it was just too unstable for him, or maybe he doesn't doesn't want to be the head coach, wants more power and wants more say. And again, that's the model that maybe Ineos are going to need to look at to say, actually, is that the right model for us if top managers are not going to come in under those conditions? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They've got a lot of sorting out to do between now and the summer anyway, between obviously organising that and obviously looking at the new manager or head coach, whichever way they decide to go down. But Romano was also confirming the stories that's been going around the last few days that we do want somebody with Premier League experience as well. So it's not going to be like a Ten Hag, Amorim type signing where we're going to bring them in when they've never managed in the Premier League as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. Give us your shouts though in the comments below. Now, there has actually been a little bit of transfer news that we're going to go through as well. So first of all, this is it's actually a report coming from Africa Foot. Now, I don't know the credibility of Africa Foot. They've done a few stories in the past, mainly around Baleba, if memory serves me right, and they didn't come true. So I am going to say take it with a pinch of salt. However, Man United submit spectacular €90 million offer to sign breakthrough winger breathtaking winger before Liverpool. So what they're saying, Manchester United have launched a huge €90 million, so £78 million bid as they look to beat rivals Liverpool to the signing of Yan Diomande, as per a report, while Fabrizio Romano has discussed the interest from the Red Devils. I'm not going to go through it all. So according to Africa Foot, the chase for the player is heating up as United have formalised their interest with a stunning €90 million offer. United are supposedly well on their way to agreeing a deal, having open talks with Leipzig Chiefs. The report adds that Leipzig have given Diomande permission to speak with United about a potential contract. Ineos are allegedly willing to offer him a 5-year contract that includes the option for an extra 12 months. Africa Foot named Liverpool, City, Tottenham, Bayern Munich is all being interested in Diomande too, with United trying to get the jump on transfer rivals. And then it just goes on to say a bit about Romano beforehand, saying that, look, we're really interested in him, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to say take that with a pinch of salt. I do think that if we had made a €90 million bid for Diomande, I don't think Africa Foot, with all due respect to them, are going to be the place that are going to break that particular news story. So I would want to see a little bit more credibility. Plus, he's at the AFCON, so I don't know how we're going to speak to a player that's in an international tournament at the moment either. So we'll file that one under pinch of salt material. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. Now, there's been another report coming out from a Dutch outlet regarding Manuel Ugarte. So the report is saying that Ajax are looking into an audacious move for Manchester United star who it's claimed is open to leaving, even though it would leave the Red Devils with a huge problem. So ask 100 Man United fans which position they think the club should strengthen in January, and at least 90 would say central midfield. I would imagine it would be a little bit higher than that. As such, and given United are light on quality options right now, it'll come as a surprise to learn Ajax are exploring a loan move for Manuel Ugarte in the current window. The Dutch giant are desperate to sign a combative defensive midfielder and sense an opportunity to twist United's arm with Ugarte. Ajax hope to seal a 6-month loan move, according to Voteball International, though the obvious issue of salary coverage was highlighted in the piece. Simply put, Ajax cannot absorb 100% of Ugarte's £120 million a week wages. The Amsterdam outfit would require a healthy salary split, which won't throw United. And from Ugarte's perspective, it's claimed he'd be open to making a move to ensure he plays regularly ahead of the 2026 World Cup. However, Ugarte is featured in the starting 11 more of late, though a change of manager could result in a demotion back to the bench if Kobbie Mainoo gets a chance. And they're apparently a decent Dutch news outlet as well, suggesting that Ajax would be potentially looking at a loan move for Ugarte, and that Ugarte himself would be open to making the move if it means getting minutes to regularly play ahead of the World Cup. But I just can't see, in a position that we're already weak in the midfield, United sanctioning any deals there. Like, it would literally be, we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot, regardless of what we think about Ugarte's qualities, a body there. And especially if we're going to change to the from the 3-4-3 into the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. If we get Ollie or if we get Carrick, we are going to need bodies in midfield. Like, we can't weaken ourselves further by loaning out Ugarte and not bringing in a replacement, and that's the frustration, isn't it? That's the area of concern at the moment. I think amongst many of you from comments in previous videos is that midfield. What on earth are we going to do there? So I can't see us doing anything with Ugarte personally, but I will keep an eye on it for you. Stranger things have happened. And then the final player that's been linked with an exit in January is Xerxes. Now, there's been a report coming out from a Dutch news outlet as well, saying that despite Solskjaer's potential return to Manchester United, Joshua Xerxes remains keen on leaving, fearing limited playing time. Roma have tabled a 4-year contract offering €3 million net salary plus bonuses. The transfer is likely to advance once Bryan Mbeumo and Amad Diallo return from United. So the report suggesting that potentially even with the caretaker manager, we might still look to do an exit for Joshua Xerxes, and especially if he's insistent that he wants to go as well. And if we are changing the formation, I know obviously Xerxes got some minutes last night, but when you've got Amad and then Mbeumo back, plus, maybe Shea Lacey, if we're going to play with wingers now or more of a wide forwards, then maybe Lacey becomes more prominent. Bruno in the 10, his minutes are just going to diminish, aren't they? I think Joshua Xerxes. So potentially that could be one that we can keep an eye on. But again, I wouldn't want to get rid of anybody in January if we're not bringing in replacements and or upgrades at least anyway. But we'll keep an eye on that and see how it all plays out. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on the match. Let me know what you felt, what you thought regarding what you thought regarding Darren Fletcher's first game in charge as well. What are your shouts on the caretaker role? Carrick, Ollie, are you not bothered? Would you want both? Fletcher, should he be given more of an opportunity after his start in the interim role? Get involved in the comments, and then a bit of transfer news. But with the transfer news at the moment, I don't think we're doing anything until we get at least a caretaker in, and maybe towards the end of the window when we get AFCON players and that returning. But again, it's going to be difficult, isn't it, without a permanent manager? Like, who's going to sign for United at the moment when you don't even know who the manager is going to be next season? That's going to be a hard sell, I think, in January. But we'll keep an eye on it, and we are going to get constant links with players. And if any more comes out, I'll obviously give you any updates regarding that. But get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think regarding all of that. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.